Hello! Welcome back to Snacks and Stacks. My name is Cindy and I love to talk about books, TV shows, and movies. And today we are starting Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Faeries and another completed series reading vlog, I hope. As you can see, there's a bookmark in here already because I started without recording anything. But that's okay. I'm only 46 pages in, and as I was reading and walking on my walking pad, because I have really low steps today, I looked over and my camera was set up for a wrap-up video. So I was like, why don't I just do this before I completely don't want to? So here we are. The completed series vlog series, oh my gosh, I need better names, is a series of videos that I am doing where I am reading pretty much series that are completed because I love being able to binge through my series without having any memory issues. It is late in the day. I've only had one caffeinated drink today and I'm not making any sense, so I apologize. But we'll run with it. I am a little bit in and I'm finally feeling like I understand what's happening. So we have Emily Wilde, who is a professor, a rather young professor from Cambridge, who has traveled to this place. I cannot pronounce it. I haven't looked it up. And she is going to look for common fae there. She is in the middle of writing a book about fairies, and what I love about this book that is different from the folk of the air is it does not make the assumption that you know anything about fairies, which is great because I know very little about the folk. And so I have some tabs here because she kind of does a really good job of explaining what fairies are, but in a way that doesn't make me feel like a dummy. So this book is formatted as journal entries where she is writing in kind of like what she's done that day and how her travels, well, she's already gotten there, to this place and how she's exploring it. What else can I say about this so far? I like it. And I also was not expecting footnotes because it's a journal entry and then there were footnotes. So that is also very interesting. It's a very like scholarly writing style, which takes me a little bit to get used to, but so far I am enjoying it. So yeah, let's walk and read, and I'll try to catch you up maybe one more time near the middle and then once near the end. Look at what I have to deal with. I'm trying to read. Can I see through your head? Good morning. Alrighty, so we are halfway through Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Faeries. I say we as if you're reading this with me. I am halfway through, and I even put a little note in here to pause to record, so I'm getting better at this. Because when I get into a book, sometimes I just keep going. So yeah, so far this has been very enjoyable. I love the two main characters and their relationship with one another, and I also really like Emily's perspective, like the way she makes fun of him, and also the way that she thinks is like very scholarly, and I enjoy that point of view a lot. I will say that, funnily enough, I am also reading the third book in the Folk of the Air series, which is a young adult series that's also incorporates Fae into our world. And I would say that that methodology, the way that that book and series does it, doesn't quite work for me. I don't know if it's just a distinction between young adult and adult writing, or it's like the style, because maybe it's also the time period, so that is more contemporary, and we are in the 1900s here. So I think that kind of time distance helps me makes this feel more realistic and like real. And that is just something I have with contemporary fantasy, urban fantasy, is that it can also feel I feel less immersed in the story. But anyways, I don't know if this cover, as much as I love this cover, and this is why I bought this book, this is the Barnes & Noble paperback exclusive edition. I don't know how exclusive it is. It's basically a color version, a blue colored version of the UK covers. I feel like this book is misrepresented in this in this illustration. It looks very cozy, and that's why I picked it out, because I thought it would be really lovely for reading in the summertime, springtime. And I would say this is more of a fall read. The fae in here are dark and scary. They are like mischievous in a way that makes me not want to encounter them, honestly, in real life. I found that, I don't know, so I'm going to read, this is a curmudgeonly professor journeys to a small town in the far north to study fairy folklore and discovers dark fae magic, friendship, and love in the start of a heartwarming and enchanting new fantasy series. Maybe I'm too used to lollipop bright Lifetime Christmas movies when I hear heartwarming and love and journeys to a small town. I would not say this is it. Although I will say more of my vibes, because sometimes those kind of super sweet stories can be a little can feel a little like too much, too polished. This is great so far. So yeah, I'm really, really loving the pacing of this, and at first I was a little concerned that I was not going to like the pacing. I thought maybe it would be slow, but it kind of ramps up with the introduction of a second main character, and we're having a really good time, and now we're actually going to try to find some people that are lost. So yeah, hopefully that's not too much of a spoiler. I don't think it is. Is it? But yeah, I'm going to keep reading, and I have another touchstone here. I think I put another post-it at the very end where I'm like 1 to 2 chapters left. So we're going to keep reading. There is an animal companion in this book, and I love the way Emily will talk about her animal companion. Specifically in this sentence, she just called her a turncoat because Shadow, the dog, has decided to sleep near the other person, which is exactly how I feel when my dog decides to not be my dog, to love somebody else. Alrighty, friends and pals, Do people use the word pals anymore? Hi. We have been... Oh, thank you, princess. Yes, I am obsessed with my dogs. Hold your head high. So I stayed up nearly the whole night, and I got to a spot where I said pause to record vlog. So I wanted to read the last chapter with the camera running. Just before I read much of this, I had put in some stopping points to try to vlog better. And I put this here because I knew it was the first in a series. I didn't know if there were going to be cliffhangers. I thought it might have some interesting footage. But I will say, I stayed up till midnight reading as much as I could because something happened that was a little out of the ordinary, out of what I expected. And happily put it down when I saw that posted because they were starting to kind of wrap things up. It was starting to feel nice and like buttoned up. So it wasn't too much of a like, oh my God, I need to know what happens next for the last chapter, which I'm happy about because I definitely would have just kept reading if it wasn't more of like a feeling of closure in the last couple of chapters. So in the back half of Emily Wilde, we experience so much more fae and fairy magic. And I will say that something happens in the book that kind of threw me out a little. Like I felt... The best way to say it, probably, the most non-spoilerly way to say it is I wasn't expecting this to happen. And, you know, in stories of fae, the whole thing is like fae people, the folk, they have different intentions and thought mindsets than humans. So I think it was probably deliberate to have this kind of turn this way, but for me, it just felt strange. So yeah, let's read the last chapter. Hello. Ow. Ow. Hi, honey, your paws hurt. Okay. Oh, goodness. Oh, this has become a video of me being mauled. I had to close the door. Yuki just does not like it when I read or play on my phone or do anything fun. That does not include her. Okay, back to it. So I'm all done with Emily Wilde's Encyclopaedia of Faeries. We did not leave on a cliffhanger, but it had like a very interesting fairy story at the end that makes me even more curious. And of course, I want to start the next one. So for the first book, I would rate it like a 4.5, nearly 5-star book for me. I haven't had a book made me want to stay up and keep reading out of excitement to find out what happens next in a very long time. I will say something that happens in the back quarter of the book, it happens to Emily. For those who have read it, you may know what I'm talking about. I was a little bit disjointed with those events. And I think part of it too is I love a good romance, and it was like just when the romance was starting to flourish, it got sidetracked. Another thing that I really liked about this book is I love both the characters and the way they play off one another. Emily and Wendell have a great dynamic. I feel like they have very good banter. And I like what they bring out in one another. I also really enjoyed the town that they were in, this kind of small, cold town. Currently, we are not going through a heat wave. All of our temperature here has actually cooled down, so it was kind of interesting to also read a book that is like snowy and full of ice, because I kind of felt it sometimes, which was nice, but also like I was like, oh, I want to be in the heat though. But yeah, I really enjoyed that first book. I have the second book on audio as well as physically, so I will be getting to that soon. And yeah, I will keep recording as I go. I'm really happy that I'm reading these back to back though, because the one thing I find about this book and its writing versus the Folk of the Air series, which I'm just finished this morning on audio, is that this writing is harder to get into because it is written more historically accurate, maybe not, but more historically accurate to the time of 1900s. And so it was nice to get that little difference between the writing styles. However, Heather Fawcett does not over-explain anything, and I really enjoy that as a reader who loves being shown more than being told all the time. And I love that she trusts us as adult readers to make sense of why Emily is doing certain things and what she's doing, which is also why in the later, when the event happens, I'm a little bit confused, because I felt like it was out of character for Emily to get herself into this situation that she gets into. But I would love to know if you feel the same. And yeah, we can chat about it in the comments below if you've read this. But I'm going to try to keep this vlog spoiler-free if possible. We'll see. It's time to start the next one. I'm so excited. I really enjoy these characters a lot. I've also noticed I've been really enjoying historical fantasy, so that might also be another thing that is on my list of things I like. Come here! Yuki, come! Bear the sticker. You're an exclusive. You're exclusive. Exclusive! What happened? It's right here. Can you just be an exclusive edition? No? Okay. Even my dog doesn't like stickers. Did you know that this book starts with a fairy foot? Weird. I don't think we're going to be reading. I think we're going to be playing with the doggy. Hey there! So, Emily Wilde and the Map of the Otherlands. I actually had to get this on audio because I wanted to read it so badly, and I realized that I have to read the Apothecary Diary light novels for the read-along. So I was able to get the second book as an audiobook, and I listened to more than half of it today. I think it said 60%, but I would say the last chapter I was probably in and out because I was trying to figure out, our oven randomly died. So that was fun while I was cooking. So I would say, obviously, I'm having a great time listening to this while I'm working. And in this book, we see the relationship between Emily and Wendell really like starting to come together. We also have two more side characters, mortal side characters that I'm really enjoying. I like the kind of differences that they bring to the table, to the book. And I think that I really like Ariana. I wish we could see more of what's going on, but because we are still in Emily's journals and only know what Emily knows, it makes it a little bit harder to get to know the side characters better because Emily is not a people person. But yeah, and then the Fae in this book is still very dark and very interesting. However, I'm a little bit disconnected because we have Fae that are after Wendell. And because of that, we're not really spending time with them like in the first book where we are researching them and like taking time to get to know what's up. We're running away from them. We do not want them to be near our characters. So yeah, I would say this book is a bit faster pace, definitely. And we're just like, we go right into stuff that's happening. There's like a mysterious person. And I love that Emily is still very smart and very academic. And I love the other professor that has joined them on this field study because I think he brings a good like awareness of Fae to the whole book as well. So Dr. Rose is kind of like the head of the department, and Emily has a lot of respect for him, and I like that he in his own right is smart. I don't like it when the head of the department is like bumbling idiots and you're like, how did they get there? So I do love that. And the other side character is Ariadne, who is her niece. Also loves Fae and all that does with it. So yeah, I'm having a great time. I actually had to force myself to stop and talk to you guys. So hopefully tonight I'll get to read a bit more and then I'll catch you guys when I'm all done with the book. And then I have to wait for the third book to come in from the library. And I know the third book will also be probably as an audiobook. Oh, and the audiobook narrator does a fantastic job with reading the story and keeping the flow. However, I will say I listen to audiobooks a lot, and this is probably one of the first times where the audiobook narrator doesn't do like voices for the male and other characters. Her voice changes a little bit, but I actually really enjoy that she doesn't try to make her voice like deep for for Wendell or the male characters, because especially the way the book is written as journal entries of Emily's, it's pretty much Emily making a slight differentiation voice for the other characters, but it's never like on purpose or like weird. And although I will say it's a little bit harder when you're listening and working. Sometimes I have to rewind and be like, who said that? Because you don't have that, accent or voice that goes with the character, and you have to make sure you're paying extra attention. But I think that's totally fine because I would prefer that over like a really bad female doing male voice, because sometimes those make me laugh and it takes me out of the story. So yeah, that's a little note on the narration. And yeah, I'll see you guys when I'm all done. Hey there! So I am done with Emily Wilde's and the Map of the Otherlands. The ending, the last half, was so fast-paced, in my opinion, compared to the rest of the book. How do I make this non-spoilery? One of the characters is in danger, and so the other character has to save them. And in order to do that, they have to enter into the fairy realm. Because of this, the pacing is pretty fast. What I also love about this book is that the supporting characters get to play a larger role, and even supporting characters in the first book comes back in and plays a part. The world building is super fantastic. I don't feel like too much of it is just to help the plot move along. Like, I do feel like some of their rules are sort of in place. At the same time, because it's the fairy and the folk, it's almost like it can be absurd and it can be very flexible. And because of this, I do think it's like a softer magic system, which I don't mind. I just think sometimes authors might use it as like a handicap to move the plot or make sure to give characters a bit of a band-aid or so. But I didn't think that they really did that here. I feel like it was very thought out. I did really enjoy this next book. I gave it 5 stars because I enjoyed it more than the first book, even though it still had some points in it that I thought was a little absurd. But there's and because I was listening to it, I couldn't tab it, but I swear one of the times they were like, that's one of the things about fairy and fae, is that it is absurd. And so, although I thought the resolution to their conflict was done kind of easily, I really liked it. Another thing I was reading when I was writing my review about this, I was reading other people's reviews, and I saw that people didn't like this one as much because the character wasn't mentioned as much, but I do find that interesting because this is Emily's book. So I will say, if you like Wendell more, you won't maybe like this book as much, but I will say this is a fantastic character development for Emily. I can't remember how much I said about the supporting characters in this, but her niece is her assistant, and she comes along and she's always kind of looked up to Emily. And in this last half of the book, you really see them trying to form more of a bond, trying to understand each other better, and just trying to appreciate each other in different ways. And I really enjoyed their relationship at the end of the book and what came to be. I also really just felt like the entire book was done super nicely. It built on what we learned in the first book, and we were able to see some other characters. And Emily, even though we're always in Emily's point of view, it almost feels like Emily feels freer in this book to like really write even more things down, and she's feeling less dry and less academic all the time. I think that's it. I'm super enjoying this series, and I hope that the next book is just as good, the next and last one. I do have it on hold at the library for an audiobook, but I did get the ebook in. I just don't know if I'll be able to pick it up right away because I have to read a ton of Apothecary Diaries and a book club book as well. So I might just have to wait until the audiobook comes in and read it that way instead. But I have it on my Kindle just in case. Good morning. I started reading the 3rd book in the Emily Wilde series. Let me try to set you up. Oh, actually first, I brewed this tea from Cliché Teas called Magical Powers to match the theme of the book, and it's got lemon and butterfly pea in it, and it's actually this like blue color, almost like the color of my pajamas. And so the 3rd book is called Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales, and that is what I started last night in the dark. So I was reading a book I was supposed to read for book club, but we right now are redoing our room, so I don't have like a lamp currently. So I have my book light with my physical book for book club, but it was just really annoying, and so I decided to read from my Kindle instead. And I was debating between A Day of Fallen Night, which is on my summer TBR, and it's mid-August, so I should pick it up because it's a big book, or finishing Emily Wilde. And Emily, my dear, she won.
since, they're both from the library, but I think A Day of Fallen Night doesn't have anyone waiting after. And I have the physical book, but I also wanted to get the Kindle copy so I can bring it around because I'm not bringing that chunky tome everywhere I go. So I started Emily Wilde's third book, and I'm 2 chapters in. I'm really glad that I started it as soon as I could, because we pick up the first chapter is a continuance of a day. So I actually want to grab the second book and check what the last entry was. And we're going straight into the fairy realm, and to keep it as non-spoilerly as possible, we are on another quest. But this time we're not starting out in the human realm and then going to a new place. Like, we are in fairyland, trying to achieve this quest that Emily and Wendell are on. So I don't know how easy it will be to talk about this last book, as I feel that there are things that should be kept because it's like kind of it's kind of a spoiler in the first book if I talk about it. So yeah. So I'm gonna eat and read on my Kindle. So I'll be back around 50%.
Okay, we have our new painted bedroom. We painted it navy and gray, and we even have a new curtain closet door instead of no door because I don't like bifold doors. We did paint over my little abstract mural, but it's like nice and clean right now. I'm sure I will paint another mural soon. So I just want to show that off before I get into I am around the 60% mark in the Compendium of Lost Tales, Emily Wilde's third book. And I really can't say too much without saying any spoilers, except that so far this book has kept me on my toes, but it's not as interestingly paced as the first 2 books, especially that second book. The pacing was just so nice, and we were like going through a lot. In this third book, there's a lot of impending doom, but Emily doesn't really have a reason to be by herself, but for some reason she and Wendell are not taking care of all of these conflicts and troubles together. I think, he has to stay back and do certain things, and she has to do research. Although for me, I'm not quite sure. Oh, yeah. I guess it's just interesting. I was hoping to see more of their relationship flourish as they work together, but I am a little upset that they are apart. And right now, something big just really happened, and I was listening to it while I was working, and I almost couldn't believe what was happening. So I'm actually going to go back a couple of chapters or entries so that I can reread what happened. I'm going in between reading the ebook and listening to the audiobook. So yeah, I'll let you know when I'm done how I feel about it. I think everything will wrap up nicely. I'm just not sure how they're going to do it at this point. It seems very interesting. We do have some recurring side characters from the second book that just came back, and that's really nice, but it's almost like a very small bit, and I would have loved them to be in it more. Somehow this book so far feels simultaneously slower paced, but also like in a rush, if that makes sense. All right, I'll be back when I'm done. Hello. I have finished the third book in the Emily Wilde Trilogy, and I really liked it. I have finished it for a couple of days now, maybe almost a week now, but it's been really hard to get on camera. I think I read it in a couple days, especially with the help of the audiobook because life has been busy, as you may be able to hear from the dog chuffing. But yeah, I really liked it. I felt like I liked it the least, which really sucks for me because I love when a trilogy or series ends on a high note. But overall, the entire series was really good. I just felt like the last book was a bit repetitive, and I don't know, like, did it try too hard to bring in people from before that didn't necessarily need to? I'm not sure. There's something about the last book that makes me feel like it wasn't as exciting as the first two books. And for me, that's always a bummer because you want to end on a high note. But I did love the whole series overall. I would say that it's one of my favorite series that I read this year. And I would totally reread or re-listen to this series. So I do think it's a positive. It's just such a bummer when the middle book feels better than the last book. I'm not sure if I'm missing anything, but I don't want to say any spoilers. So I think this is a pretty good place to wrap up. As far as the completed series challenge, we are in almost September now, and I am in the middle of the 52 book challenge as well, and I think I need to focus on that a little bit more, as well as reading some ARCs and reading my book club books. So I don't foresee me being able to finish any other series this year, or start and finish a full series this year. So I hope you guys liked this completed series challenge reading vlog. If you did, could you leave your favorite emoji as a comment just so I know, and also so that I'm motivated myself to do these. I think they're a lot of fun, especially when I can look back and hear what I think about a whole series as a full, but they are time consuming and a lot of footage to kind of go through. So if you like it, I'll keep doing it, but if not, it might not be worth the trouble. I don't know. Sometimes I just do stuff because I want to. But yeah, happy snacking, happy reading, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.